Good evening, everyone. If everyone can start making their way to their seats, we are about to begin. I see a couple of you are making your way to your seats. I promise there will be more time to chat and catch up. We're getting there. We're making it work. All right, I see the right half of the room has done the thing. Left half of the room? Hey, guys. I'm just going to start at a certain point. I might. Oh, you're the best. All right, here we go. That works. Enough. Thank you. All right. Cool. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2024 4th Estate Gala at the National Press Club. Woo! We are the world's leading organization for journalists. My name is Emily Wilkins, and I have the distinct honor of being the 117th president here at the National Press Club. Thank you. I wasn't expecting applause on that. Cool. And a correspondent for CNBC's Washington Bureau. We are so fortunate to be together tonight as we celebrate the importance of journalism and the excellent work of this year's honorees. As we start our program, please do feel free to start enjoying your salad. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background about this award that we're having tonight. When the club first honored Walter Cronkite in 1973 with its first 4th Estate Award, we began the important tradition of celebrating journalism excellence that we continue now. And it is such a pleasure to carry on this tradition, especially as I look around the ballroom tonight. Tonight, we recognize the incredible achievements of four journalists and a dedicated newsroom staff. We will celebrate 2 individuals receiving the 4th Estate Award, the highest award that the National Press Club gives. These journalism leaders have revolutionized how we consume news, not once, but twice, inspiring new ways to engage with audiences. With our Aubuchon Awards, we will recognize the courageous efforts of journalists over the past year, despite facing terribly concerning press freedom barriers and deep personal tragedy. And with the Neil and Susan Sheehan Award for Investigative Journalism, we will honor an outstanding investigative journalist whose work examines the long-term impacts that systemic environmental practices have had on vulnerable communities. While the spotlight is on our colleagues tonight, we are also dedicating tonight to all of our fellow journalists who have covered and are covering tirelessly and fearlessly some of the biggest stories of our lifetime. The work of journalists this year has reminded Americans and others around the world of the vital role of the press in pursuing truth, documenting history, and shaping the narrative of our democracy. Never before has truthful, credible news coverage been more important. So to the journalists who are here with us tonight, and to those who are currently on the job, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are very honored tonight to be joined by our 4th Estate Award honorees, Mike Allen and Jim VandeHei. And I see that many of their Axios colleagues are with us tonight, and we look forward to hearing from both of them a little later in our program. Jim and Mike joined some of the finest journalists of the past half-century with this honor. Lester Holt, Gwen Ifill, Marty Barron, Dean Baquet, Clarissa Ward, Kristen Welker, Christiane Amanpour, Andrea Mitchell. The list could go on, but we do need to get to the main course eventually. We are joined this evening by members of the National Press Club Board of Governors, as well as the Board of Directors of the National Press Club Journalism Institute, and our Gala Sponsorship Committee, led by Danielle Coffey of the News Media Alliance. We thank them all for their stellar service. This evening is also a fundraiser for the National Press Club's Journalism Institute, the club's nonprofit affiliate that promotes and creates top-notch professional development opportunities, providing journalists with the skills and standards to better inform the public. To share more about the work and the impact that the Journalism Institute has, please welcome Gil Klein, the president of the National Press Club Journalism Institute.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining us this evening. As Emily said, this is a very important night for the National Press Club and the National Press Club Journalism Institute. We are grateful that you're here to share it. The Institute has become a professional development hub for journalists across the country. The Institute reaches more than 8,200 individuals in newsrooms, large and small, independent journalists, and student journalists through dozens of free or low-cost virtual trainings, in-person workshops, and our daily journalism newsletter. We have conversations that offer career support and skill building. We are also dedicated to helping the journalists of tomorrow. Each year, the Institute awards more than $25,000 in scholarships to help students who are passionate about a career in journalism. All right, let's hear it for the scholarship. It takes vision and your financial support to do this important work at the scale that we know is necessary. We are grateful to our supporters for championing these initiatives with the Journalism Institute. Now, Tonight, we hope you'll be supporting journalism training for all by making a contribution. We have a big goal of raising another $30,000 between now and lunch. No, it'll be December 31st. And your donation tonight will help us get a great start toward reaching that. You can give now by scanning the QR code in the middle of your table. Your support will help us continue our important work serving journalists across the U.S. and around the globe. Remember, support journalism, support democracy, support the Journalism Institute. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for all this support that I know is coming in as we speak.
Well, thank you so much, Gil. Whoop, there we go. The Institute, the National Press Club, rather, is very proud of the Institute's work. And thank you, Gil, for serving 3 years as the Institute's president. If we can all give Gil yet another hand to honor all of his great service. And as a board member and a donor myself, I do encourage each of you to make a gift tonight, perhaps in Gil's honor, if you'd like. It is now my honor to present our first award. The National Press Club works tirelessly to advance press freedom. We collaborate with press freedom colleagues around the world to advocate for journalist safety and freedom. Among our activities is that we join Friends of the Court Briefs to protect journalists' legal rights. We also do a lot behind the scenes. The club has worked tirelessly to bring attention to the case of journalists in trouble around the globe. That includes persistently pursuing the safe return of journalist Austin Tice. Austin Tice was kidnapped while reporting in Syria back in 2012. He freelanced for a variety of news organizations, including the Washington Post and McClatchy. He's a Texan. He's a veteran U.S. Marine Corps officer, and he was a law school student at Georgetown University. He has now been held captive for more than 12 years. the National Press Club works with Austin's parents, Mark and Deborah Tice, to keep him in the spotlight and to do everything within our power to bring him home safely and soon. Tonight, we want to take a minute to salute Austin and his family. Deborah Tice is here with us tonight. Deborah, if you want to stand for a minute, and if we can just recognize and welcome her, and Mark as well, for all the work and the advocacy you've done. I'm just going to go off script here for a minute and just say that working with Deborah over this last year, seeing her strength, her resilience, her perseverance has just been incredibly inspiring and deeply moving, and it just really gives me, I think, hope for the wider journalism industry to know that there is such a community of folks who are fighting for Austin's return home, and we hope that next year at this time, Austin will be able to join us. And we know it can be done, because this year we were fortunate to welcome back 2 U.S. journalists, Evan Gershkovich and Alsu Kurmasheva, both who are being unjust. Yes. At the National Press Club, we have a core mantra: journalism is not a crime. Journalism is not a crime. Journalism is not a crime. It sounds really good if we all say it together. Journalism is not a crime. Our belief that journalism is not a crime goes beyond words. With our Aubuchon Awards, which we're giving out tonight, we commit to putting the full weight of the National Press Club behind our honorees, giving them support, advocating on their behalf, and welcoming them to our community. You'll see much more of those focused efforts soon with the launch of our Press Freedom Center at the National Press Club. But tonight, it is time to honor the first of our 2 John Aubuchon Awards. The award is named for a past National Press Club president who had a keen interest in issues of press freedom. Each year, a domestic honoree and an international honoree are recognized. These new Aubuchon honorees join the ranks of Maria Ressa, Jasa Razayan, Austin Tice, Marie Cloven, Jamal Khashoggi, Emilio Gutierrez Soto, Danny Fenster, Hayes Fan, and Rana Ayub, and many others. Since October 7th, 2023, more than 137 journalists and media workers have been killed in the Israel-Hamas war, according to the Center to Protect Journalists. This is the deadliest period for journalists since the CPJ collecting this data in 1992, and we believe it could be the deadliest time for journalists going back far beyond that. The 137 include 2 Israeli journalists killed in the horrific Hamas attack on October 7th, 6 Lebanese reporters, and 129 Palestinian reporters. They do not include journalists who have been injured, arrested, or have gone missing. We know that at least a handful of cases, journalists and press workers were deliberately targeted and killed for no other reason than their profession. In a war that has the attention of the entire world, where outside news organizations have rarely been able to report. The role of journalists in Gaza is more important than ever, yet too little is being done to ensure their safety. It is unacceptable to deny journalists and media workers the protections they are owed under international humanitarian law. As the United Nations panel of experts reminded us this year, in times of conflict, the right to information is a survival right on which the very lives of civilians depend. Journalists play an indispensable role as a vital source of information and as human rights defenders and witnesses to atrocities, reporting on violations and abuses of international humanitarian law and human rights. The experts added, targeted attacks and killings of journalists are war crimes. With that in mind, tonight, the International John Aubuchon Award is being given to Al-Dahdouh, the Gaza bureau chief for the Al Jazeera Media Network. Wael's story, which he is about to tell you, his courage, his resilience, his determination to shine light of truth in so much adversity exemplifies what so many journalists in the conflict have faced and overcome. And I want to be really clear here. If you're an Israeli journalist, a Palestinian journalist, a Lebanese journalist, any journalist covering the deadliest war for reporters in decades, the National Press Club has and will continue to advocate for you, for your right to report, and for the importance of the work that you do. At the Press Club, the Aubuchon Award isn't just a moment of recognition, but a start of a commitment to stay with that case for as long as support is needed. In a sign of that promise, and in recognizing that Wael would likely to not be able to physically join us tonight, we made the decision to present the award to Wael in person while he was in a hospital in Berlin. This was last month as part of his recovery from a missile attack in December that severely injured him and killed the camera person with him. This year, we recognize Wael Al-Dahdouh, Al Jazeera Media Network's Gaza Bureau Chief, as the 2024 International Honoree of the John Aubuchon Award. Well, Wael, it is a pleasure to be with you in person today. Thank you so much as you take time to recover, for taking the time to meet with us.
Thank you. Welcome.
Wael, you are this year's recipient of our John Aubuchon International Award. It is the highest press freedom award at the National Press Club. And I wanted to take a minute to talk about why you were this year's recipient and why there was such strong support for that. The work and reporting that you have done in Gaza has really spotlighted the humanity amidst the tragedy of war, and you have done it all while you have been in immense danger and while you have suffered a great personal tragedy. While I don't have the words, I think, to tell you how immensely sorry that we all are at the National Press Club, and even further than that, for everything that you have suffered while you have only been doing your job of telling the world of what is happening in Gaza. But I also wanted you to know the awe and the inspiration that we feel for how dedicated you have been in showing the globe the truth about what is happening on the ground and showing up day after day, even in such incredibly difficult circumstances. Wael, this award is not only about the power of your reporting, it is about the testament that you are to the resilience of humanity. And I am absolutely honored to present you with the John Aubuchon International Press Freedom Award.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it is now my honor to present to you your membership card for the National Press Club. Know that you always have a home in a community with the National Press Club.
Thank you. Thank you very much. God's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all. First of all, I send you all my greetings. To each one of you by name and title and position, I would like to express my thanks for this prize and recognition, which, like all other awards and recognitions I have received, represents an award and a recognition of all journalist colleagues, particularly those who are martyred and injured, those who paid with their own blood and souls and the blood of their families on the road of this coverage by Her Majesty, the press, and this human message. I think it's incumbent upon me to be candid with you in saying that I have feelings which I don't actually understand fully. This man who is in front of you, talking to you today, had never thought he would be in the situation where I have ended up at all today. I have lived a very difficult experience, very painful experience, a very bitter experience, a very costly experience, professionally and obviously also on the human level. I cannot fathom this feeling I have how a journalist like me would see his family torn apart day after day, get burned day after day, and be reduced in numbers day after day as a result of being so targeted. My family was targeted. My wife, my life's partner, was killed. My son Mahmoud, who was preparing to be an English language journalist, was also killed. He was full of life and vitality and genius and intelligence. He was in the prime of life. Also, my daughter Sham, the great Sham, and Adam, and many of my other siblings and relatives who fell victim to this aggression. This was an early challenge, one that was extremely difficult to face and extremely painful. How can a journalist like me get such news and to live this tragedy while he was destined to take a decision in parallel with facing that challenge and maybe something even greater? I only have a few members of my family, and even those were injured. But I still decided to return to work as soon as I buried my loved ones and my precious children. As soon as I laid them to rest, I returned to work. Subsequently, my house was targeted. It was destroyed, and the office was destroyed. And later I was targeted, and my colleague Samir Abu Daqqa, may God have him in his mercy, he was martyred before my eyes, and so were 3 rescue workers, despite the fact that our assignment had been pre-approved by the Israeli occupation army. Samir was martyred, and I miraculously survived and went back on camera from the Khan Yunis area. A few days later, my colleague, my precious and oldest son, Hamza, who worked with me at Al Jazeera channel, he was targeted in a premeditated attack by an Israeli drone with a missile, which didn't give him much time. He was martyred, and I felt compelled, as I had been every time, to decide whether to continue working or to step aside into isolation with the pain and the wounds and the bitterness inside me. Each time, as in this time, my decision was again that I had to continue my job, and in a professional manner, without letting any of that impact the content and the meaning of my mission, which I carried out live on air. This was not easy for me or for any of my colleagues who were in similar situations. But it's a question of professionalism, determination, and willpower. That comes from our faith in this human mission. We have faith in the importance of this human mission, of its usefulness and value. We believe that getting it to those who deserve it, like you and like millions of others around the world, requires sacrifice. But we had not hoped or expected the price of that sacrifice would be so high. Worse still is that you work and live with the feeling that at any moment you could be wiped out and you could become the news and the picture instead of doing the main mission you had been delegated to do, which is to look for the news and for the picture. That is the worst part. That is the most painful part. Maybe we had felt great pain because of the question, why are we targeted? Why? We are journalists carrying out our mission with utmost professionalism, perhaps not matched by professionalism in other places before, despite such great pain and high prices. The question we grappled with constantly was just that. Why such targeting? Why such determination to continue it? And yet, we continued working and colleagues continue to do their job in the Gaza Strip in similar conditions, perhaps in worse conditions as the situation has become more complicated and more difficult in the Strip. Such attacks target the press, most certainly. True, people and colleagues have been killed and paid with their lives, and families have also been wiped out. But at the end of the day, the target has been the witness, the truth, the information. It is an attempt to stop and lay siege to the information and to the pictures of what's happening in the Gaza Strip. Most of our job was live, on air, which means it wasn't subjected to censorship or to editing. So all the information and the pictures flowed uncensored. We didn't interfere with them or fake them or change them or interpret them or exaggerate them. So the messages were extremely important because the events we were covering were extremely dangerous, were extremely consequential. Therefore, wherever you turned the camera and wherever you tried to use words to describe the scenes, the event was so monumental in itself and didn't need us journalists to change it or to exaggerate or magnify it, because it is massive in its own right and unprecedented. And yet, I believe that the main message is that the continuation of the sound and the picture was the reason behind the success in our living up to the challenge which has been forced on us as journalists. Today, this prize and recognition by you may put an end, even in a very tiny way, to the bitterness which we felt as we were being killed and targeted without anyone moving a finger to the slaughter we were facing as journalists in the Gaza Strip. This award and today is a recognition of the role we played and continue to play as journalists covering events, and of the importance of safeguarding press freedom, and of the fact this targeting of journalists is targeting the freedom of the press and of expression and of opinion. We are in solidarity with each other, but we also express solidarity with all journalists, wherever they may be, anywhere in the world, whenever and wherever they come under attack. A journalist must have press freedom guaranteed for them, particularly in times of war and in times of difficult events. I hope this gala will be a new and real departure, and that you will be able to do much more for your colleagues in the Palestinian territories and in the Gaza Strip in particular. And I hope we will meet again on future occasions when the situation of journalists is better and when they have recovered a good part of their freedom and when the attacks against them have stopped. Thank you very much, and God's peace and mercy and blessing be upon you.
An incredibly powerful speech there. I also did want to take a minute to recognize Wael's colleagues at Al Jazeera who are here this evening. We thank you, and journalists around the globe who are shining a light on this absolutely tragic and horrific crisis. Thank you for all that you do. Before we begin to serving tonight's delicious meal, I do want to take a moment to express our thanks to tonight's sponsors, whose support makes our work possible. You've seen their logos on display around the press club tonight, but now they get the podium shout out. They are our diamond sponsor, Axios, our gold sponsor, Al Jazeera Media Network, our silver sponsors, Bloomberg Philanthropy, News Media Alliance, Robert Hastings and Associates, and the Wall Street Journal. I love it, team spirit. Speaking of that, our spirit sponsors, the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States and responsibility.org. Our bronze sponsors, Addis Communications, Ballard Spar, Bell Flight, Eileen and Carrie O'Reilly, General Dynamics, Global Situation Room, Scripps News, Syngenta, Toyota, Volunteers of America, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University. Got to get it all in. The Washington Intern Student Housing, Craig Newmark Philanthropies, and the Washington Post. And our patron sponsors, the New York Times and Trib Total Media. Huge thank you to our sponsors who, through their support of this event, have helped the National Press Club Journalism Institute raise a large portion of its operating expenses. What we do would not be possible without this support. Thank you so much. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, please enjoy this delicious dinner from Executive Chef Mo Aguilar, and our fantastic banquets team has prepared for you this evening. And remember, of course, if you would like to make a donation to support the Institute's mission to power journalism in the public interest, you can use the QR code on your table. We'll be back after dinner. Thank you. guys, we're about to get the program restarted. You can finish your selfies and handshakes and return to your seats. You go, Lisa. All right. Well, I hope that everyone enjoyed that absolutely delicious meal. Can we please give another round of applause for our banquet staff who made this event possible tonight? It is now my pleasure for our second domestic Aubuchon to honor Mississippi Today, a nonprofit, nonpartisan newsroom based in Jackson, Mississippi, with the National Press Club's Domestic Aubuchon Press Freedom Award. Mississippi Today is currently involved in a legal case to protect privileged documents used in producing a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation and named in an ensuing defamation case brought by the state's former governor. The case has wide-ranging implications for press freedom in the United States, including journalist source protections at a time when journalism is already under threat. The outlet won a 2022 Pulitzer Prize for investigations into a $77 billion welfare scandal that revealed how the state's former governor, Phil Bryant, used his office to benefit friends and family. Bryant then sued Mississippi Today and its CEO, Mary Margaret White, in July of 2023, claiming that the series had defamed him. Editor-in-Chief Adam VandeHei and reporter Anna Wolf, here with us tonight, were later added as defendants. On June 6 of 2024, Mississippi Today appealed a county judge's order to turn over privileged documents in relation to the lawsuit. The Mississippi Supreme Court has not yet ruled on the newsroom's appeal. In a country that holds freedom of the press as one of its core rights, it is shocking that any court, let alone the highest one in a state, would require reporters to hand over their sources simply because the governor was upset to be caught red-handed misusing federal welfare funds. Mississippi Today's reporting shined a light on the critical issue impacting thousands of Americans. Please welcome Mississippi Today's editor-in-chief, Adam VandeHei, to accept the Domestic Aubuchon Award for Press Freedom. Adam?
Emily, thank you so much. Thank you so very much to the National Press Club. You guys have been such a champion of ours these last few weeks in this fight. It means the world to us to be here. I'm happy to accept this award on behalf of Mississippi Today, a small but mighty newsroom, scrapping every day to shine light on a state that has for so long operated in darkness. It is a true pleasure to get to do what we do. As a lifelong Mississippian myself, Mississippi matters. That's about as simply as I could put it. And to have an opportunity to be in a growing newsroom, a nonprofit newsroom in my home state, in our home state, is truly an honor and a privilege. I'd like to point out a couple people here really quickly. The first, of course, is Anna Wolf, who just got the shout out from Emily here. Investigative reporter whose reporting really shocked the conscience of Mississippi and the nation. Anna, despite being under this very intense microscope, every word of her reporting has stood up. And I think that says everything about who she is as a reporter. All you journalists in here, I'm sorry to say this, you're not as good of a reporter as Anna Wolf is. Thanks, Anna. Secondly, I'd like to thank Henry Laird. Henry is our lead attorney based on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, who has done as much as anyone in this room in fighting for press freedom in America. During his career, he has successfully defended more than 50 defamation cases against Mississippi newsrooms. We are here tonight only because of his unwavering passion for truth and justice in Mississippi. In this case, Henry's become a close friend of mine and a mentor. Henry, thank you so much for everything. To our founders, Donna and Jim Barksdale and Andy Lack, you are the reason we are here. It means the world that you guys had this crazy idea 10 plus years ago to start a newsroom, a nonprofit newsroom in Mississippi. We are kicking ass because of you and because of you exclusively. Thank you. Over the past 2 weeks or so in particular, there's been a lot of debate in rooms just like this about how we journalists can expect to face an increase in defamation or libel lawsuits, to be subject to subpoenas, and the potential overreach of executive and judicial officials who have been given the power to set new rules for themselves. Around the country, newsroom leaders like myself and so many of you are asking, how far are we really willing to go to protect our journalists and our sources? What are we really willing to risk to stand up for truth and justice, or as Joseph Pulitzer once put it, to never be afraid to attack wrong? We're standing before you here tonight having grappled deeply with all these very issues in Mississippi for about 18 months now. I'd like to spend just a couple minutes talking a little bit more about our fight. In 2023, we were honored to win the Pulitzer Prize for local reporting for our investigative series, The Back Channel, which, as Emily said, revealed for the first time the extent of our state's welfare scandal. At least $77 million in federal funds intended to help the poorest residents of America's poorest state were instead misspent by state officials. You've likely heard about this case. Big names like NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre, pro wrestler Ted DiBiase were involved. But our investigation centered on another high-profile individual, former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant, who led the state system, the government system, that allowed for what has been called the largest public embezzlement scheme in state of Mississippi's history. We did everything good journalists would do for a major investigation like this. We reported some more. We questioned that reporting over and over. We fact-checked again. And we had counsel closely review every word before we published, knowing how big of a deal this would be and how it might be perceived. All in all, more than 5 years of investigative reporting culminated in this series. The impact was what any of us journalists would desire. Mississippians of all backgrounds and political leanings engaged with and were appalled by what they learned only as a result of our reporting. They better understood a corrupt system only because a journalist, Anna Wolf, cared so much about everyday people who were long ignored and spent years of her own time getting to know those people and how the public assistance system in Mississippi was working against them. This was a great public service to Mississippians and really all American taxpayers who were cheated by a handful of crooked power brokers. We fulfilled our most important mission to the highest degree, holding power to account and keeping Mississippians informed about issues that directly impact their lives. And that reporting was appreciated by nearly all who read it. More than 1 full year went by between when we published our investigation and when we won the Pulitzer Prize. But 3 days after that award was announced, again, a whole year, more than a whole year after the reporting originally published, Bryant began the process of suing us for defamation. Today, 16 months later, the case is still tied up in state courts. We've had to spend hundreds of thousands of our own dollars defending ourselves and our reporting against totally baseless claims, and there's no end in sight. None of our reporting was inaccurate or defamatory, and we've continuously stood by every word. Nonetheless, our former governor in Mississippi is now exploiting an untested state court system as the vehicle to try and obtain all of our notes, our internal communications, and worst of all, reveal the identity of our sources. Despite our thorough legal arguments and a true world of legal precedent to back us up, we were ordered by the state judge earlier this year to turn over information that we believe is privileged under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. But Mississippi is one of just 8 states that has no shield law. Our courts have never recognized any equivalent to a shield law, and the state courts have allowed our case to continue. This summer, we appealed that order, knowing full well that this is a critical precedent-setting moment in Mississippi. We're asking our state's highest courts to permanently guarantee Mississippi journalists these constitutional protections for the first time ever, and we're fighting for all Mississippians to be guaranteed a right to privacy if they share important information that's in the public's interest. As you could probably imagine, a lawsuit like this for a relatively small newsroom like ours, I think last count we're at about 20 newsroom staffers, it's been difficult to manage. The governor's ultimate desire in this case, as he's argued in court, is a big payout. As his attorney said in a national television interview about the case just a couple months ago, quote, "We just want the money." They know a substantial judgment or settlement would greatly harm our ability to do this type of investigative and government accountability work in Mississippi for years to come. But make no mistake, this is not a case the former governor will win, and I believe he knows that. One of his main goals is to keep us tied up in the courts and inflict as much damage as he can in the meantime. And in many ways, sadly, his strategy is working. Anyone in this room tonight, especially over these last couple weeks, pondering what your plans should be in the coming weeks and months, should know that even the most meritless lawsuits like this, defamation, libel, whatever, can still cause great damage. One of the most politically powerful people in Mississippi is using a defamation lawsuit to try and scare us, intimidate us and other news outlets into not reporting about the ongoing state and federal investigations into the misspending. Bryant himself, the former governor himself, has been the subject of questions in those investigations, and numerous others who have either been charged with or pleaded guilty to state and federal crimes in this scheme have pointed their fingers directly at him. His strategy to intimidate has sadly worked, not on us, but some of our Mississippi peer newsrooms. They're afraid to be the next target of Bryant's tactics, and many of them couldn't afford the legal fight anyways, so they've chosen to stop covering the investigations altogether. The constant scrutiny on us and other journalists in Mississippi, the personal attacks, the attacks on our family members, it's all been a lot. The target they've placed on our backs has never been bigger, and believe me, not a day goes by that we don't feel the weight and emotional stress of all that. The very words I'm speaking right now, I know this is being streamed or recorded or whatever, will undoubtedly be misconstrued by Bryant and his legal team in their next court filing. This is now our reality in Mississippi. I think in many ways this is now every journalist in America's reality, and I'd be lying if I said that it didn't sometimes wear us down. But we cannot and will not back down. The only path forward for us is to continue the fight. As we strategize how to best proceed and protect ourselves, we've been forced to take real stock of the system in which Bryant, in Mississippi at least, is working. I know many of you are doing the same right now for yourselves, but we can't help but consider the ways the government is designed and structured right now, from political appointments to the changing of the judiciary. In Mississippi, there are 9 state Supreme Court justices. They are the ones who currently decide the fate of our lawsuit, our appeal, and whether to grant these protections to Mississippi journalists. 4 of those 9 justices in Mississippi were appointed by Phil Bryant, the former governor who's suing us. 2 others were publicly endorsed by him for their election campaigns. While we have no clear reason to think that any of these justices will disregard their oaths of offices or the U.S. Constitution, it's impossible not to ponder the worst case scenario. And in that worst case for us, the courts could order us to turn over our notes and sources to the governor. Of course, if we don't do that, we'd be at risk of being held in contempt of court. When asked what lengths we would go to protect ourselves and to protect our sources, we maintain with clear eyes that we would sit in jail before handing those names over, and we mean it. And right now, we, again, I know just like many of you today, the last couple of weeks in particular, are wide-eyed in the wake of the recent election about the makeup of the federal government and judiciary branch. A federal investigation into the Mississippi welfare scandal that we covered continues, and multiple people close to the former governor have pleaded guilty and are cooperating with prosecutors, federal prosecutors. But as of November 5th, those prosecutors themselves face a new reality. We know the U.S. Department of Justice is going to look a lot different in the coming weeks and months than it has the last 4 years, and even well before that. The Biden-appointed U.S. attorney tasked with helping lead the investigation into the Mississippi welfare scandal will likely soon resign ahead of President-elect Trump's inauguration, and Trump will then get to appoint his successor. The person Trump appoints will have a monumental task ahead of them. They will be the one to ensure final justice for every Mississippian who was cheated out of the welfare dollars they needed to merely survive. This person will hopefully provide some closure to Mississippians of all persuasions who are appalled that their leaders could do something as shameful as steal money from the poor. Every American taxpayer, every American in this room, has a vested interest in seeing justice served by this new appointee. Trump will no doubt take a lot of advice about who that person should be from many people, but one Mississippian in particular seems to have Trump's ear more than anyone else in our state, and that would be former Governor Phil Bryant. Bryant was Trump's campaign manager for the state of Mississippi this year, and he's been hanging out at Mar-a-Lago the last couple weeks, reportedly whispering in Trump's ear about appointments. To put it plainly, the man who has been at least a tangential subject of an ongoing federal investigation could very well have a direct hand in choosing the prosecutor who will take over and complete that very investigation, all because he's close with Donald Trump. How that new U.S. attorney might interact with us at Mississippi Today, our press colleagues in Mississippi and others, is something that's obviously at the very top of our minds. The stakes right now all around for us and everyone, I know, are very, very high. They feel so extremely high. I was reminded recently of the 2017 quote from the great Marty who said, quote, "We're not at war, we're at work." I do think there's truth to that, but the scope of that work is changing more rapidly than ever before. Over the next few weeks and months, as the vowed pressures and attacks ramp up across the nation, every American journalist could soon feel what we've been feeling in Mississippi these past few months. In many ways, I wish I wasn't on this stage right now, because it would mean we had not been subjected to all of these perilous realities. But here I am, here Anna Wolf is, here we all are, choosing to fight. Doing this work, providing this true public service to our readers, is the honor of my life, and the collective mission of journalism right now, especially in America, especially in this moment, I believe is a true privilege. I'm just an editor from a small outlet in Mississippi, but if I could leave you with any advice, it would be this. Ask yourself what lengths you really are willing to go as journalists. If you're not a journalist, ask yourself what lengths are you willing to go to as Americans to fight for truth, to stand up for truth and justice. In Mississippi, we've got our answer. We'll never give up the fight. That's the way so many Mississippians before us have persevered. It's in our DNA, truly. And for us, at least, it's the only option. Thank you to the National Press Club again. This really means the world to us. It's an incredible honor, and you guys have been such an ally to us in this fight. Emily, really thank you so much. And thank you to everyone here, and thanks for all the good work you do.
Adam, Anna, Margaret, the entire team, thank you guys so much for what you have done, for what you are doing, and know that the entirety of the National Press Club will stand behind you every step of the way into your fight. We all recognize the incredible importance of what you have done, the costs at stake here, but no, I think, and I could probably say the Press Club for sure, and I'm pretty sure also everyone else in this room is standing behind you guys. Thank you again. And we are proud to honor and put the full weight of the National Press Club and, of course, the National Press Club Journalism Institute behind both Mississippi Today and Al Jazeera's Al-Dahdouh for our Aubuchon Press Freedom honorees. We thank you and your supporters for your ongoing commitment to press freedom. It's clear that investigative reporting, asking tough questions and holding power to account is more important now than ever. In that spirit, it is now my pleasure to present an award that recognizes outstanding investigative reporting, the Neil and Susan Sheehan Award for Investigative Journalism. It is named for the legendary New York Times reporter and his wife, Susan, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and staff writer at The New Yorker. Ralph and Marion Krauss created the award to honor the Sheehans and their extraordinary commitment to the principle that a vibrant democracy depends on an informed citizenry and a free press. This year, we honor Yvette Cabrera, a senior reporter at the Center for Public Integrity. Throughout her career, Cabrera has reported at the intersection of justice and equity, examining the impact of systemic disparities, such as environmental pollution and contamination, on marginalized communities throughout the United States. Cabrera's work includes highlighting a decades-long fight in a community treated as a dumping ground for hazardous material waste, how communities of color bear the brunt of U.S. pollution, and a story on the devastating effects of uranium mining in Navajo Nation. Yvette's work demonstrates a commitment to the practice of investigative journalism that centers on compassion, courage, and integrity. Her thoughtful approach shines a light on the long-term impacts that systemic environmental practices have on vulnerable communities. She balances care with accountability, a terrific combination of values to model for investigative journalists everywhere. We are proud to present Yvette with this year's Sheehan Award, and we are happy now to welcome her to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to say how grateful I am to the National Press Club Journalism Institute for this acknowledgement of my work. It's especially gratifying to receive this award from an organization that I greatly respect for its commitment to upholding and defending the values of a free press. This year marks my 30th anniversary in the news business, and when I think back to my beginnings, sometimes I still can't believe I'm standing here. I'm a working class kid who went to college on scholarships, a daughter of immigrants, a first-generation college student who serendipitously found my calling when I joined my college paper, but didn't have a playbook for how to become a journalist, much less an investigative journalist. I became who I am today because I followed the path of the generation of journalists who came before me, who showed me the way forward and taught me how to hold others accountable. I hope to live up to this wonderful award, given in honor of two trailblazing journalists, Neil and Susan Sheehan, who set the bar high for all of us today, and whose persistence in reporting on the inner workings of our government, no matter the consequence, is today more crucial than ever. I've thought a lot about my parents these past few weeks as our news industry braces for the battle ahead during this next administration. The attacks against the press, what we stand for, and what we do will escalate over the next 4 years. I've often credited my father for instilling in me a love of storytelling. I learned about my parents' homeland through the stories he told me about his childhood growing up in Mexico City in the 1930s, how he sold kites to support his mom and siblings, how he didn't let that poverty stop him from chasing his dreams, and how he found success selling some of the most popular tortillas in the Mexican capital. There were lessons there of persistence and the value of hard work, but also of loss as he battled government corruption after he decided to bypass the Mexican government's monopoly on corn, rejecting the low-quality corn meant for the masses, and instead securing his corn supply directly with the farmers in the surrounding states. Eventually, he lost that David versus Goliath battle with the government, but I learned a valuable lesson that I've carried with me as a journalist since the beginning of my career. that any one person, no matter their roots, their background, their class, can and should challenge the status quo and should question authority. That is democracy in action. That is the core of what we do as journalists. My dad never went to college. He worked as a gardener here in America, but valued education and learned English by reading newspapers. And he believed in the values of his adopted country: freedom, democracy, and the opportunity to forge your own path. In Mexico, my mom had to drop out of high school to support her family, who at times had to subsist on tortillas and beans. She went to work with my father in his chain of tortilla mills because she too believed that when it came to her country's most basic staple, the public deserved quality corn. Here in the United States, as immigrants, my parents found a new cause: their daughters, making sure that my sisters and I went to college. We learned we had to earn our way, and we spent many after-school hours working alongside my dad in the gardens that he landscaped and in the homes that my mom cleaned to do our part. Their work ethos taught me that getting ahead didn't mean leaving others behind. And I believe that's why I've gravitated towards stories about wrongdoing and work that examines disparities among marginalized communities. The more I dug into my beat covering the environment, the more I realized that although we all live in a very contaminated world, it's more so for some communities than others, especially those who live along the fence lines of polluting industries. Those toxic inequalities make these neighborhoods where our poorest residents live, most often communities of color, especially dangerous for children. Yet even in the worst circumstances, in neighborhoods where children are forced to grow up way too quickly, they still strive for a better life, a way up, even when the odds are stacked against them, just like my mom and dad. Those lessons my parents taught me are still guiding my work today as our industry faces one of the most challenging moments of our generation. We'll be tested for trying to report the truth, but we have too much at stake not to keep fighting to preserve our freedoms as the fourth estate, to ensure that all Americans have access to news that's relevant to their lives, and ensure we have a free and informed society. I know the press will rise to this moment and find a way forward. I will too, just like my parents did. Even after they lost my dad's tortilla business, they didn't give up. Coming to the United States was an act of hope, a belief that in this country of immigrants, they could keep striving forward. And in California, where I grew up, my dad planted a little bit of his homeland in our backyard in the garden where we raised corn. My parents watered those stalks, tended to the soil, and cultivated new dreams, sending their daughters to college, hoping that one day we might make a difference in this world. So I dedicate this honor to them, Alma and Gabriel Cabrera, because without their love, their hope for a better life, their dreams, I wouldn't be the journalist I am today, striving, as Alfred Tennyson put it, to do some work of noble note. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Yvette. Thank you for the amazing work that you do. It's now my privilege to bestow our 2024 National Press Club 4th Estate Award upon two trailblazers in our profession, Mike Allen and Jim VandeHei. Mike and Jim, go ahead, applaud, yes. Mike and Jim co-founded not one, but two pivotal news outlets that have revolutionized how audiences consume their news and expanding the number of people producing journalism. Together with Roy Schwartz, they founded Axios in 2017. Axios is among the most celebrated digital media success stories of the past decade and was acquired by Cox Enterprises in 2022. They launched Axios Local in 2021 to provide original reporting, scoops, and local coverage worthy of readers' time. Axios Local is now in 30 markets around the country and has 2 million subscribers. Recognizing the power of brevity in business and beyond, Mike and Jim also co-authored Smart Brevity, The Power of Saying More with Less. They were both executive producers on the Emmy-winning docuseries Axios on HBO. Prior to Axios, Mike and Jim co-founded Politico in 2007 and created Politico Playbook and helped build the company for its first decade. Mike and Jim have long exemplified an audience-first entrepreneurial spirit while building some of the biggest digital news success stories in our industry. Their commitment to high journalism standards and resolve to find profitable, impactful local news products at a time where news deserts are growing are among the many ways they embody the values that we celebrate with this award. Moreover, they've had a lasting impact on many of their employees in the industry, and of course, the audiences across the US who depend on Axios. Here to tell us more about working with Mike and Jim is Axios' editor-in-chief, Asia Whittaker-Moore. Asia?
Good evening. I'm Asia Whittaker-Moore, the editor-in-chief of Axios, and it is an honor and a privilege to introduce Jim VandeHei and Mike Allen as they accept this award tonight. In the true spirit of our publication, I will be brief, smart brevity, if you will. Mike and Jim's achievements leave no room to question whether they deserve to be honored tonight. They are best-selling authors, Emmy-winning producers, and successful media company founders. Twice, they've upended our industry for the better, changing the way that we report information and the way we deliver it to readers. Everyone here knows those parts of the story. You can Google it. I did, and I had to before I started because I'm from New York and I didn't know the story. But Mike and Jim deserve recognition for much more than their on-paper accolades. I joined Axios in 2020, and I've been trying to keep up with them for the past 5 years, and also trying to wake up at the same time as them for the past 5 years, and neither of those things are easy. In that time, I've seen not just two accomplished journalists tirelessly and fearlessly pursue the truth, but two genuine leaders who inspire and care about their people and the readers that they're serving. So I'm excited that tonight we not only get to applaud the achievements of these two friends, these two visionaries, and these two successful media entrepreneurs, but to celebrate the wonderful people that they are. I thank you both for trusting me with your most prized professional possession, and for letting me fly so close to the sun, and for all that you do for journalism and for this world, and I can't wait to see what comes next, because I know you're not done. Congratulations, Mike and Jim.
Thank you so much, Asia. Also here with us tonight is Axios co-founder and Axios HQ's CEO, Roy Schwartz. Perhaps no one knows how Jim and Mike operate better than Roy, who launched Axios with them and has seen their combined influence on journalism and business. Roy, podium's yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. I was really looking forward to tonight. I think Jim and Mike were really worried that I might roast them. I mean, I can't roast Mike. I mean, he's an angel, right? The only thing Mike is guilty of is over-ordering appetizers and giving too many gifts to my kids. Jim I can roast a little bit. Jim has been known on occasion to have a drink or two. In fact, I think some of the people in this room have documented what happens when Jim might drink a couple of tequila and sodas during White House Correspondents' Dinner. Let me share a little story about one of these events. It could have gone really badly. Jim and I were coming back from New York. We were on the train. We decided to go to the bar car. We may have had a few drinks, and we started talking. And I reminded Jim that, hey, we are on the train to Washington, D.C., and there may be a few people that might overhear what we say. He goes, no one's listening. You're being paranoid. No one cares. So we got into this deep discussion about Axios, about what we were going to do, who we were going to hire, what our plans were, and we are deep in discussion, maybe a few drinks in. My phone is buzzing, but I ignore it. His phone is buzzing, he ignores it. We keep talking. An hour goes by, a few more drinks. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? My phone has been buzzing for like an hour. Like something has to be up. So I pull my phone out of my pocket, and I'm like, oh. Apparently, the person right next to us was a reporter and had been live tweeting the entire conversation. We were getting all these calls going, Roy, stop talking. Tell Jim to stop talking. This is live on Twitter. What are you guys doing? And we had ignored the entire thing. The really funny part was the reporter didn't recognize Jim, and so just thought that Jim really, really, really loved Axios and really loved smart brevity. But in all seriousness, Jim and Mike are uncomfortable tonight. They will not talk or brag about themselves, so I will try and do some of that for them. Jim and Mike work harder than anyone that I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot because I have seen a lot of really hardworking people in my life. They love what they do. They care about journalism. They care about this country. They probably have the best eye for talent in the industry. They have hired, trained, and mentored the very best journalists in this country. But those are things you already know. What I want to share is that they are incredible people. They do so much for their friends, for their family, and they have made me a better person. They think so deeply and so passionately about how to live a good life, how to live a moral life. They are incredibly deserving of the award that they're about to get tonight, and I could not be happier to introduce them. So, thank you all for being here tonight, and congratulations, Jim and Mike.
Roy, thank you so much. Now we do have a video taking a look at Jim and Mike's impressive impact on how we produce and consume the news.
Joining us right now is Mike Allen.
Mike Allen from Axios.
Co-founder of Axios, Mike Allen, who joins us live.
Co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim VandeHei.
Someone who knows Wisconsin well, Jim VandeHei.
I'm going to go to Jim VandeHei, despite the fact that he believed
Let's
David
go for the good stuff.
I'm with David McIntosh. not that I hold grudges.
So Jim VandeHei, I'm curious, you are so plugged in Washington, you have such good instincts about these things. What is your sense of how this might play out over the next couple of days?
What do you think they, together as a duo, have sort of done for the industry?
Supercharged it. Mike changed Washington just by the nature of his reporting, just by being on all the time.
VandeHei, like there is actually no one in American media who's done what he's done.
Their two minds together, I think, are the strongest mind in media.
I think innovation in media is really hard, and the fact that they've done it not once but twice is really unmatched, and it's something to be respected and really applauded.
If you're interested in politics, in the race for the Republican crown or the Democratic crown, you've got to come here. I mean, these are reporters who have track records for breaking news and providing smart insight and analysis.
They saw a hole back in 2007, and they exploited it, and they filled it, and they created a generation of reporters, of editors that have taken over the industry.
Michael, who do you work for?
Mr. President, I work for Politico.com.
Pardon me? Politico.com?
Yes, sir. Today.
You want a moment to explain to the American people exactly what...
Mr. President, thank you for the question.
Politico pioneered a much faster-paced, more aggressive type of political journalism. That now is something that is very common across the industry.
We were going to be a website with a newspaper. We were not a newspaper with a website. We were able to go from like an idea, or like get a tip, to something published in half an hour, 45 minutes in an hour, okay?
They both just have this incredible energy and this belief that they and the teams that they work with are the best in the space, and there's nothing that they can't do. And they always made us feel like there was nothing that we couldn't do, that we were going to win.
The philosophy of how people approach politics was different before Jim and Mike. What they did at Politico and now what they've continued to do at Axios.
Welcome aboard. They had this idea, a very simple idea, about brevity and about the fact that people didn't have time, and there was this smart audience out there that were craving information in a new way.
Mike and Jim have really tapped into this idea that in fewer words, we can say exactly what needs to be said, and we're just as informed, and we can inform people just as well with a small amount of words on a page.
People have a lot going on. You want to hit them fast, give them what they need to do their jobs, and move on.
People don't want to feel as if they can't understand what journalists are saying. You never walk away from an Axios story with any doubt about what the reporter believes and what they want you to take away from the story.
What makes Axios essential is our ruthless focus on why it matters. It is an attention to detail and to our audience and a commitment to really explaining why this news matters.
It's almost 8 years since Axios launched. You're now seeing this pressure towards brevity across the industry. People trying to make their stories shorter, people much more concerned about readers losing attention. You see it both in tone, in content, and also in the talent across the industry.
Hi, Jim and Mike. I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate you both on an award very much deserved. You both have, in my opinion, the highest integrity, the most passion there is for the institution of journalism, and nobody in the industry works harder than you.
There are so many problems and challenges in our media ecosystem. It's inspiring to celebrate two people who are so relentlessly committed to keeping us informed and engaged. So here's to Mike and to Jim, to Axios and their ongoing media revolution.
Mike and Jim, congratulations. You guys absolutely deserve this. Jim, probably not as much as you think you deserve this, but congratulations. What an awesome honor.
Jim and Mike, I'm so happy for you guys. This is great. It's a great tribute to all the hard work you've done. Not only what you personally, but the people that you've worked with, their success is in a way your success. So I think you guys deserve an enormous amount of credit for that.
Mike and Jim, I love you. Congratulations on the award, Mazel Tov, and here's to many, many more years of you guys conquering the media, transforming the media, and being mentors and inspirations to people like me and many other young journalists.
Mike and Jim, you have been such a force in American media. I am so privileged and honored and thankful to have been able to know you and work with you. Congratulations. I'm so excited to see what's next.
I am delighted to join the friends, colleagues, fan club, and groupies of Jim VandeHei and Mike Allen as they're recognized by the National Press Club. To launch one media company is an amazing accomplishment, but to launch two is nothing short of miraculous. Jim and Mike have made amazing contributions to journalism, and for that, they deserve this special award this evening and much more. In fact, maybe one day there'll be a monument to Jim VandeHei and Mike Allen. But until then, I have my own special way of receiving their daily inspiration. Congratulations, Jim and Mike, on this tremendous honor.
Come on up. Congratulations.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Do something good, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, Asia, very much for those comments. Thank you for your leadership, for raising all of our game. Thank you, our Axios colleague, Jimmy Shelton, who put together that amazing video. So I was wasting time in the newsroom of the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I'd filed my story, and I was talking to the night police reporter, Mark Smith. Those of you who've worked in local news know that in an old school TV newsroom, newspaper newsroom, the biggest stories in local news are, one, when snow is coming, even a couple inches, and people go and buy milk and toilet paper, and second, when the Powerball gets big. So this particular day, the Powerball was about to set a record. And Mark and I were debating if we would quit if we won. And the courts reporter, Tom Campbell, was sitting over there. We didn't even know that he was listening, but he was typing away on his ATEX terminal. Gil Klein will remember ATEX. He's typing away on his ATEX terminal, and he looked up and he said, if I won the Powerball, I'd still work here, but I'd take a lot less shit. And he went back to typing his story. And that's journalism, right? It's important and it's hard, but we do it because we love it. We feel a calling. There are very few jobs like that, and we feel privileged to have one of them. Whether you're an intern or the boss, we're always just the steward for our role till the time comes to pass the torch. The big picture. This is a moment of trial for the profession and for many of our colleagues personally. They feel attacked and threatened. There's never been a more important time for clear-eyed, courageous journalism and relentless pursuit of truth. Thank you to the National Press Club for this Fourth Estate Award and for supporting the Journalism Institute, which equips the next generation of journalists to inform the public through our precious free press. Support journalism, support democracy, I'm told. Our huge appreciation of the Press Club president, Emily Wilkins of CNBC, thank you for a great night, and to her predecessor, Eileen O'Reilly, Axios Managing Editor of Standards and Training, has helped make Axios what it is. Eileen, to us, you will always be Madam President. Thank you to all our hardworking Axios colleagues who believed in Axios, took a chance, and worked wisely and tirelessly on behalf of the company and our audience. We're privileged that a bunch of them are here. This is dedicated to you. We're grateful to you. Thank you for believing in Axios. We thank the visionary executives of Cox Enterprises, led by Alex Taylor, you saw up here, for their steadfast support in building a forever company that will outlast us all. When you get this award, you are undeniably on the back nine. But Jim and I are very grateful for this opportunity to pause and appreciate the countless people who've selflessly helped fuel and feed our passion for telling other people stuff that matters. For me, one of those was Ham Smith, a legendary journalism professor at Washington and Lee University, who, when you handed in foggy, meandering, throat-clearing, undergraduate, he would always emphasize, undergraduate copy, he wouldn't give you an F. He would send it back with one word at the top, nuts. Gail Nardi, Shenandoah Valley Bureau Chief of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, who oh so patiently typed away as we talked on the phone about my very, very, very important dispatch that I was filing with her. She taught me to bring the same verve and finesse to Buster the Turtle as to a gubernatorial debate. Gail was brilliant at both. Gail, thank you. I thank my dear friend and co-founder, Roy Schwartz, you heard from earlier, without whom there would be no Axios. You see, Axios started with a radical premise, live tweeted from the bar car of the Acela. What if we built a news organization around what the reader wants instead of what the journalists or the publishers want? Most other news organizations are built the opposite way. How can we keep you on site? How can we build your time on site when you have no time? We said no. What serves the audience is knowing what's new, why it matters, with the power to go deeper. Nick Johnston is here. Brevity is confidence, length is fear. We fixated on every pixel, but that was the easy part. How do you make money? How do you make reader-first journalism sustainable? Roy cracked that code, always sticking to our North Star of elegant simplicity. And that's the magic of the partnership of Roy, Jim, and me. It's a recipe for success for you in life and work. Because absent any one of us, there's no Axios, which is a hell of a thing. And the learning for all of us, the learning for life, is to know your superpower, know your blind spots, and then find collaborators in life and work who make you a better version of yourself, which is what Roy and Jim do for me. And be yourself. When we talk about Axios journalism, we talk about trust, efficiency, which is a way of respecting the reader's intelligence, distinctiveness. Axios has never tried to be the New York Times without foreign bureaus, or some organization with more of this or less of that. We've always been ourselves. How can we make smart professionals smarter, faster about what matters? And when it comes to being yourself, there's no greater role model, no one I admire more than Jim VandeHei. From childhood, we're held back by what others think of who we are, what we wear, how we talk, how we walk, what our passions are. Jim honestly doesn't give a shit. And that fully liberated him to be the brains, brawn, and soul of two great startups. Jim likes to say, Mickey, others have heard this, Jim likes to say, I'm impossible to offend. Behind the curtain, not totally true. But more true than with anyone else I know. People joke that between Jim's genius and my empathy, between us, we're one whole person. But we've learned from each other tips and tricks of life and leadership, iron sharpening iron. I'm a much better journalist, leader, and human because of Jim. America and journalists face an uncertain road. At Axios, our calling has never been more urgent, the clinical, unflinching pursuit of truth. Thank you, Cox. Thank you, National Press Club, for the huge honor of this award. I'm grateful to God and to my patient, supportive, loving family. Thank each of you in this room for your encouragement and for your vital work. And now, to rebut Jim VandeHei.
That was good. The difference between Mike and I, he has all these nicely written notes, and I'm going to wing this shit. Funny, I have like a funny 1,000 Mike stories, but I used to joke when we were at Politico, we wanted to start a show where you would give us a situation, and I would tell you why you're screwed, and he would tell you why it's the best damn thing that ever happened to you, which captures like the essence of us. And the example I used to use is like, oh, you have terminal cancer. And I'd be like, listen, you got terminal cancer, you're gonna die in 2 weeks, it sucks. And Mike would be like, congratulations! This is the best news. You get to meet the Lord and experience a blissful eternal life. Awesome! That's Mike in a handshake. I will say, like, for those of us who've worked at Politico, worked at Axios, have worked with Mike, truly, of like all, I've won the lottery in life, but like being able to live and work and be best friends with a guy who is so humble, so gracious, so hardworking, it's just the coolest thing. And it's also interesting that neither of us have ever won anything alone. Like, we're kind of like half good, like I'm 50% successful. But you like put us together, like we're pretty good, we're pretty formidable. But the truth is, you guys should have given this to more than 2 people. Roy should be on this award. Roy's not a journalist, but I would argue, and I'm pretty blunt with what I think, I think he is the most formidable business thinker in Washington media in our lifetime, and it's not close. Not close. To be able to come up with a business that can support the work that we do is an almost impossible endeavor. And without him, there's no Politico. Without him, there's no Axios. And so you should be on here. And I'm not that much of a drinker. Like, you make it seem like I'm a drunk, for crying out loud. We had a couple of cocktails. My God, I'm from Wisconsin. What the hell do you want me to do? But it should just be 3. It should be 4. If you didn't, my wife, who's not here tonight, but if she didn't give us a swift kick in the ass 17 years ago when we were going to wimp out from doing Politico, there'd be no Politico. There'd be no Axios. And 4's not enough. Because all we are is like 3 guys with an idea and a smart business mind if we don't have people. And the number of people that have taken a flyer on us is so damn humbling over the years. Now it might be easier. 17 years ago, 18 years ago, it was hard. It was really, really hard. And so to look around at these tables and see all these people that have worked with us, competed against us, but really like that worked for us. Like DJ, Danielle's here. She's worked for us, I think, 5 different times. We've only had 2 companies. That's pretty impressive, right? And then like people like Asia come into your life, who's only been with us now 3 or 4 years, but just add a whole new dimension to you. Like she brings organization to like our chaos. So like we're nothing without them. Swanee, who I think is one of the best journalists I've ever come across, who you saw in the video. I love Swan, but not just because he's a reporter. You saw it up there. Like he's just a good person. Like we've been so blessed with finding so many good people to work with. The Cox family that's here, Spencer, Sharita, Dallas, who are at this table here. You saw Alex up there. This family's believed in journalism since the late 1800s. That's before Mikey was born, right? Like the idea that they stay at it, that they invest in this company, that they stick with it, even when it's hard. It's a hard damn business. It is a hard business. It is amazing. And so like the question is like, well, why? Like, why do they do that? It's because it's worth the fight. God, the Mississippi Today, like what you guys did, like that. Like I remember, I talked to me. Like Joe Theismann used to watch Rocky to get fired up for a Super Bowl. Like I hear stories like that. Like that's what gets us fired up. It's what keeps us in the game. Like we're in this. Like it is a fight. It is a war. And the fact that people care about that war, that they join you in that war for truth, for freedom, like it matters. It matters. Like our industry, make no joke about it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day or X today saying like, we are the media. You are the media. My message to Elon Musk is bullshit. You're not the media. You having a blue check mark, a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter any more than me looking at your head and seeing that you have a brain and telling you have an awesome set of tools makes me a damn neurosurgeon, right? Like what we do, what journalists do, what you did in Mississippi, what Al Jazeera does in the Middle East. You don't proclaim yourself to be a reporter. Like that's nonsense. Like being a reporter is hard, really hard. You have to care. You have to do the hard work. You have to get up every single day and say, I want to get to the closest approximation of the truth without any fear, without any favoritism. You don't do that by popping off on Twitter. You don't do that by having an opinion. You do it by doing the hard work. Take away that investigation, you have corruption. Like you think about this country, like I hate this damn debate about like, oh, we don't need the media. Like it is not true. Think about what makes this, I love this country. I'm a beneficiary of this country. Like some dipshit from Wisconsin who can come and start 2 companies, be up here, win an award, sit next to Mikey. I'm a beneficiary of it. But there's something about the country. There's something about it, right? There's something about freedom, capitalism, the animal spirits of democracy. But at the core of that is maybe transparency, maybe a free press, maybe the ability to do your job without worrying to go to jail, maybe the ability to sit in a war zone and tell people what's actually happening so they're not just looking at distortion, matters. It matters profoundly. It's why, it's not like we just love getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning. doing this every single day. Like, we do it because we love it. We do it because it matters. The work that we do matters. I don't think people at Mississippi Today are sitting there like, I'm going to do this for the prestige and the massive paycheck. I don't know what you make, but I know not-for-profits don't pay a ton. You do it because you care, because it makes a difference. And I think that that's where you should end the night. Like, listen, like every day, we're in a fight. You, me, we got to remind young journalists, we got to remind the American people. Hell, I think we have to remind ourselves that you got to get up every day and say, how can I be just a little bit better? How can I be just a little more fearless? How can I write a little more crisply? How can I report a little more deeply so that I can inform people? How can you do your part every day to get those people who've grown deeply skeptical of the work that we all do to be less skeptical, to believe in the work that you do? How can you get up, and maybe it's not your job, but figure out that this is a hard business? Maybe pay attention to the difficulties in running a business, and how can you help contribute to figuring out how we create business models to make journalism viable, to make journalism scalable? That's been the beauty of our journey. It really has. I love journalism. What do I do for fun? I write. I love it. Like, why do we write a column while running a company? Because I love this stuff. I think it's really important. I think we know a lot. I want to be able to tell people that. But the coolest thing is somehow we've been able to figure out how to turn these things into businesses. And that's not a bad word. We all need to figure that out. Because if you lose this, and this isn't us, I'm preaching to the choir here, but if the American people are watching this, shame on you if you lose this. If you lose transparency, if you lose truth, you lose the whole damn American experiment. And so like, what you do matters. In some ways, the other award recipients are way bigger deals than we are. You're doing things that are really difficult that could cost you your life, that could cost you your livelihood, that could cost you your business. We don't necessarily face that, we don't. And so like, to every person who does that, thank you. To every person that reads us, thank you. And to every person that's worked for us and trusted us and taken a flyer on us, thank you. And thank you for this night. And I'll let you all go home. Bye. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for Mike and Jim. Well, congratulations to all of tonight's award recipients. Thank you to our sponsors, to our generous donors this evening. It is not too late if you haven't used that QR code. You can still do that. I'd also like to extend our thanks to the many club and institute staff members and volunteers who made tonight's event possible, and a special thank you to Beth Francesco. You do amazing. She's the executive director of the Journalism Institute. None of this would happen without her. None of the training happens without her. None of the quality journalism happens without her. And she's also just an incredible human being. So thank you, Beth. And this brings our program to a close. We invite everyone to continue to enjoy the company, the folks in the room, and say hello to each other. We have so enjoyed being with all of you. Thank you, be well, stay safe, and have a great evening. Thank you so much.